California has the highest rates of poverty of any of the 50 states. We're also the leader in homelessness, human trafficking.
Even though I grew up going to church, even though I was a church kid, I wanted to feel good and be happy all the time. And I wanted everyone to know me and like me and be impressed by me. But that guilt stayed with me for a long time. 2 years later at UCLA, and that's kind of where my faith journey began. My real faith journey began.
I believe we're on the verge of the greatest move of God ever, period, full stop. But it's not going to be the way we think it's going to be. It's going to be the way He wants it to be. Welcome to the Innovate podcast, where we explore the intersection of innovation and social impact.
Nice.
Because, you know, I believe we're on the verge of the greatest move of God ever, period, full stop. And, but it's not going to be the way we think it's going to be. It's going to be the way He wants it to be. But we have a beautiful opportunity. I'm so glad the Super Bowl's coming and that you're here, because the Bay Area is the leader in technology, technological innovation. We're now the fourth largest economy in the world. If we were a nation, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
U.S., China, and Germany are the only ones ahead of us. If we were a country, we'd be number 4. But we're also the leader in homelessness, human trafficking. California has the highest rates of poverty of any of the 50 states. We lead. We're 2x the national average in food insecurity.
Really?
Yeah. And so we're in California, we fancy ourselves as those who are merciful and take care of the poor. That's how we differentiate ourselves from the rest of the nation. But we're not very good at it. But Innovate is about shifting that and seeing it as an opportunity. And I think when we get that together, we're going to make just tremendous progress. That's the future of the Bay Area. Innovation about the problems that matter most.
That's great.
So, Corwin, you're a former NFL player. You're now with Athletes in Action. You're the guru behind the Super Bowl breakfast. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Well, I've been on staff with Athletes in Action for 25 years.
Wow.
My wife and I had first joined in 2000 and served for 10 years as the Miami Dolphins chaplain.
Okay.
And
Is this like a full-time gig?
the chaplaincy role or what I'm doing now?
You both. I mean,
Okay, well,
so the chaplaincy was it?
chaplaincy role was full time.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, depending on what team you're assigned to or what team welcomes you in and how they value that role of chaplaincies, that will determine if you have a full-time job or not.
Okay.
The Dolphins they wanted a fully integrated chaplain. Okay. Not just a guy who would stop by once or twice a week and do a Bible study here or there, but they wanted someone who was part of the family.
Okay.
And so we were doing 4 Bible studies a week, chapel services, one-on-one discipleship, front office Bible studies, the whole 9. So that's the full.
So you're a missionary with Athletes in Action to do that? Do the Dolphins fund the position?
Oh,
Okay.
So Athletes in Action is, we're crew staff, formerly known as Campus Crusade for Christ. So AIA is the sports division.
You've been around forever, though, right? You've been AIA for a while.
I got it
No, I'm saying AIA has existed a real long time, like 50 years.
1966. Yeah, AIA started with a bunch of wrestlers.
66. So next year will be for 60 years.
You got it. We're celebrating our 60th year next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was actually impacted by the ministry when I was at UCLA in the late 80s. The chaplain for AIA was the guy who chased me down when I would run. I was actually running from him, physically running from him, because he would come in the locker room, and I would lead and walk out the door and peek around the corner, and wait for him to get done making his rounds, talking to the players. Then when he left, I'd go back in and get dressed for practice. So my entire freshman year at UCLA would have nothing to do with the ministry, even though I grew up going to church.
So tell me your backstory. So you grew up in church. Your dad was
from Bakersfield. My grandma.
Bakersfield.
I know. I'm a country guy.
They say I don't know who says it. They say Bakersfield is the armpit of California. They haven't been to Atlanta. That's where I'm from. Yeah, Bakersfield is ritzy. Beverly Hills in comparison.
You're like the knee pit. Is that what that is? Yeah, I guess so. No. Yeah, I grew up in Bakersfield. Grandfather was a pastor. Had 9 uncles. 4 of them were pastors. 9 uncles and 5 aunts. Just on my dad's side. And
One mother for all of them?
yeah, oh yeah. She was prolific. Oh yeah, they're from Louisiana. So
My little sister has 9, and she's been prolific. And that is 14.
14.
Any twins?
2 of them actually passed away, so she would have had 16. That's that was the woman. Yeah. Just oh my goodness.
The whole term Wonder Woman is redundant. Every woman is incredible. And the fact that you can have another human being,
They were raising workers and field hands, okay? So they populated Bakersfield pretty well. My dad was, I think, the 9th child of the 14
is the youngest.
side.
For the young, towards the bottom.
Yeah, towards the end.
Where was he in line of the boys?
I think he only has maybe 3 younger brothers, 2 or 3 younger brothers. So he was toward the end. Most of their brothers were older. In that dynamic, said that my dad's amazing. He's 80, just turned 80 this year.
Okay.
But his 80th birthday party, we did like a 70s thing. So everyone dressed up. We did a Soul Train line. We had our afros on, Ted. It was awesome. And he came out with a big old afro. He glued big, gnarly hair in his chest. He had a vest on, and he was doing the Running Man during his party anyway. So that's a.
So you were raised in the church.
Raised by a wonderful family. We loved.
How many siblings do you have?
3 other brothers, and a younger sister. My younger brother and sister are twins, so 5 total.
Okay, same as my family size. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Where are you?
I'm the youngest boy, and I have a younger sister. So, but she's 6 years younger than me. So, I'm definitely psychologically a younger child.
Yeah. I'm that middle child.
Okay.
2 other
Great
2 older, 2 younger. So a lot of time alone.
Yeah.
Love my family though. Great. We would have family reunions twice a year, 4th of July and Thanksgiving. Most of my relatives live in LA. So we would go there for Thanksgiving, and everybody would kind of get a baker.
What part of LA?
Oh my goodness. Most of them were Inglewood, Madera Heights.
Inglewood, that's pretty nice, right? Or no?
There's just parts.
I grew up in the high desert, Atlanta. Do you know where Atlanta is?
No, I don't.
George Air Force Base. Did you ever remember that? You know where Victorville is, of course. Okay, we're right next to Victorville. Okay, so
Barstow.
yeah, we're kind of sort of in between Victorville and Barstow. We never ever went to Barstow though, but it was next to a base. And when the base shut down, it just really became it's like a transplanted inner city, to be honest. Out in the deserts, the people flee the LA basin. They go to Bakersfield. They go to the high desert. Well, the people from the ghetto part, what came to Atlanta, very, very cheap apartments and things like that. Yeah, that's where I was from. But I went to school at the Master's College there at Santa Clarita Valley. But we would go down to South Central and go to church at
Maple Central.
Base Central. Bishop Reverend Ulmer.
I know Bishop Ulmer.
Did you go back when they were on like very first
they
mover?
moved to the big, yes.
Before they moved, then they moved out. They just were growing like crazy.
So I was when we were at UCLA, we would drive across town. So we would do it goes at Maple Central on their Boothford campus. Yeah, right. And had to wait in line.
What years were those?
80 in the mid 80s, late 80s.
Okay, so I was there from 88 to 92. I wonder if we were in the service together. That is righteous. How it was, yeah, you had to get there in time and like
You were late.
the dynamics of I was a total another church experience for me.
Wow.
Like once he's balling out the young people because they don't want to go to their youth service because they'd have youth service like once a month and they couldn't be in the main service. I'm like, ain't no white church where you have to kick kids out of service. They wanted to be in the. Oh, it was so dynamic. Yeah,
He was such a good
that was such a.
teacher, and yeah,
He was a wonderful Bible scholar. He'd come to Master's College and preach at the chapel, and he was our favorite speaker. He'd bring the house down. After that was such an eye-opening experience to me, because you go there and the Lord used a trip to Argentina and to Europe to get me out of my environment. That's where I gave my life to the Lord. That's where I became serious about my faith. But then we drive down, for us is like an hour and a half to get there across the city. And I think, man, this is a whole nother completely different world. I've traveled further than jumping on a plane to go across the world to Argentina. It's just a totally different culture. And then like the bars over every home has security. It's like, that's so weird. I grew up in a neighborhood and yeah, I told you it grew into a ghetto, but that was an evolution. Like we never even bothered to lock our doors. And it's not like I'm in another part of the country. I'm like in the same city. Yeah, I mean, the same, like my home was an hour and a half from South Central.
wow.
Yeah. So, okay. So Inglewood's similar to that
Environment. Yeah, there are parts of it. I mean, our family's kind of spread out over the LA region. So even in Northridge, we had family up there, and
Oh, okay. At one of the Sunday school services, they asked a question. This is at Faith Central, South Central. How many of you have been a victim of a drive-by shooting or know someone who has? Everyone raised their hand. Maybe two, yeah. In the Sunday school, that's like
in Sunday school,
in the Sunday school, in the church.
he's probably junior hires.
So it's like that is just, and then you're driving in and out. You go, okay, I get it. There's and that was just so eye-opening for me. Okay, so you grew up in Bakersfield,
Church kid.
you're in the church,
He's a church.
but you're not anti-faith, but you're not really living it. Telling you,
I got baptized when I was 5.
okay,
But the reason was because I'm sitting in the congregation with my mom, 5 years old, and they march out the little kids choir. Churches have little kids choir, and they're up and they're singing. And I looked up and I said, Mom, I want to sing in the little kids choir. And she looked down and said, well, you gotta be baptized before you can sing in the little kids choir. I said, okay. So that next Sunday, my grandfather did the altar call and he put the chairs out in the front of the church and called the folks down. I walked down the aisle and sat in the chair.
you're facing the pastor or you're facing the congregation?
So the altar call, they put the chairs out in front from the pulpit, and they invite people to come down and sit in the chair. Everyone in the congregation. So we like, dude, that's like common practice all over.
So what church is this? Is this a Baptist church, a Pentecostal?
Missionary Baptist. So it was called St. Peter's Missionary Baptist Church.
Have you ever visited Olivet Institutional Missionary Baptist Church in Oakland? You never connected with Bishop Reverend?
I never got into the denomination. Once I left home, I never went back to a missionary church. But
Gordon Humphreys.
okay.
Oh yeah, okay, that's another story. Amazing church. Okay, so
So I get baptized, and then next Sunday I'm in the choir. And I grew up believing the stories, appreciating what I was learning. I could memorize Bible verses with the best of them. I knew all that, but I never fully understood what it meant to have a personal relationship with Christ. It was just be a good church kid, sing the choir, don't get in trouble, don't go to jail, don't sell drugs, and so I feel like, okay, that's kind of easy. I don't do all that stuff. So I got the best of both worlds. I'm considered a great kid by my parents and my grandfather in church because they see me there every Sunday. And my buddies love partying with me. We go out, we have fun. I do what I want to do out in the world. I was a Sunday Christian.
Okay. Cultural Christians.
Yeah, Patrick Morley, cultural Christian.
Pretty dynamic, pretty talented athlete though, right?
Love sports. Played all 4 major sports growing up: baseball, basketball, track, and football.
Baseball, basketball. What were your events in track?
Well, just take a guess on that. Admit.
So you already told me. Shot put, high jump. High jump. You're a high jump.
Most folks say shot put, discus.
I can imagine you were not carrying quite as much weight then as you are now. Probably just skin as a rail.
I was a pretty good high jumper. I took 3rd in the state of California in the 8th grade. Wow, loved the sport. Started when I was in the 4th grade.
We were specialty. You played every sport.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I never played the AAU circuit. I never played in AAU. So I was before that. I think clubs were just starting to become a thing. Now you can't play on your varsity team. And we had a summer league in my high school, but I opted out of it to go live in Denver, and I'd go get good playing at the park against adults, But anyways, I was saying that because I heard this thing that the Achilles injuries are not because we're training too hard as youth, but it's because we're not cross-training. So you can become an elite basketball player and not have good running form.
That's interesting.
And then, so track athletes don't hurt their Achilles because you're never going to get that fast and that good if you don't have very, very good form. But you can get that good at basketball without very good form. And so you have imbalances, and then, at one point you snap an Achilles. So it's overrepresented. Anyway, so that's just an aside. Okay, so you're playing all sports. You're quite good.
Yeah. My first love was basketball, but I could play defense and I could rebound. Don't make me dribble.
Okay, you never go another dribble.
I did not.
Did you shoot?
No, I was off. I could score by offensive rebounds. That's where I scored.
Moses. Okay, so you have to be Moses Munoz. You have to be a bit taller than you are.
How
tall are you?
I'm only 6'3", so I play forward for my team.
That's very small for a forward. Yeah, you gotta be a guard. You have to be an elite shooter at that number.
So football, started playing tight end my sophomore year at the high school, and that ended up earning me a scholarship at UCLA in 1986. So stuck with football.
So when did you? So tell that story you were telling me about some of this conflict and some of the stupid stuff you do. Right after you got your scholarship offer.
Put that on camera. Yeah, I don't know. It had the statutes of limitations.
Yes, they have. They've run out.
Yeah, that's
8 years. It was way past 8 years.
I'd be highly right. For me, pleasure and popularity was really what I lived for growing up. Even though I was a church kid, I wanted to feel good and be happy all the time. And I wanted everyone to know me and like me and be impressed by me. And I loved having, that acceptance from people, especially my older brothers. And that's always a middle child.
And they're living the same party in life.
They're a little bit older than me, but I didn't always feel welcomed by them to hang out with them, to that party with them. And my other two, they were the same age. They were twins. So I wasn't hanging out with them. I was literally alone a lot.
They're younger.
Like it. They're younger than me.
Yeah.
And so it was just me and my dog, Sparky. We hung out. So there was one night where, my brothers came home, older ones, and said, hey, we found a way to break into the school and get some stuff. And I gave in. And
how old are you?
That year,
Is that time?
Senior year in high school.
And you've forgotten your scholarship offer.
I have my scholarship offer. and the peer pressure for my.
How did your brothers respond to you having to get the scholarship offer?
Um, I didn't think they thought it was that big of a deal. I didn't feel like there was no big celebration. It was nothing like that. I mean,
Oh, man.
I've been playing sports and being successful all my life. So to them,
Were they
probably,
successful athletes too, or were you the first one to go to college?
yeah, my oldest went to junior college, Bakersfield College, junior college. Then he played a year at Sac State up here at Sac State. Played a year up there, but that was pretty much it. The next older brother, he played high school, got injured, hurt his knee pretty bad in high school, so he didn't go any farther than that. So I definitely was junior year. But yeah, so it wasn't a big deal. I was always the kid getting, the
UCLA full scholarship. That's late.
well, college, I didn't even think I wasn't playing to go to college. I was playing because it was just fun. And I was gifted at it, and it got me a lot of attention. I kind of enjoyed that. And none of us, we didn't know about college in our neighborhood and my family. That was like
No one's going to college, and no one's encouraging you to go to college. And
talking about it. No,
interesting.
and it wasn't until, believe it or not, it wasn't until I was a sophomore playing on the varsity level team, and I just started playing tight end, and a recruiter from
Man, child.
if you ever played
Varsity football at a sophomore,
I was pretty good athlete. I was gifted with talent. Kid you not.
as a seniors are quite a bit bigger than you.
Yeah. So I wasn't starting as a tight end. I was backing up the starting tight end as a sophomore.
Okay.
But a recruiter came to a game from Cal Berkeley, and he was recruiting someone else. Forget who he was recruiting. I think, maybe our quarterback. And I walked by him, and he looked at me and he said, "Man, you keep playing like that, you can play for us." And I'm like, who are you? And so I started asking around, and that was the first time that the thought occurred to me, maybe I can play college football with them and this? Huh. And that was pretty much it. So the next year, when I was officially being recruited, I took my trips to UCLA, to Cal Berkeley, to University of Washington, and I canceled my trip to BYU because at that time I knew where I was going. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting that your family and your older brothers weren't like, supporting you, protecting you.
Well, I mean, there wasn't anything negative. It was just, that's just Corwin sports. They had their thing. I had my thing. We loved each other. No, don't get me wrong. It was a lot of love and, but it wasn't like, let's help Corwin succeed. My dad was at every game. My mom, did what she could to be there as well. She was working though. So it was a lot of, an appreciation, but they didn't know how to support me or help me get to the next level.
Yeah.
Right? They never experienced that. So I didn't expect that. It was fine.
Okay, so your senior year, and your brothers have this brilliant idea.
Yeah, we go and do that dirty deed. I come back and I'm hiding.
Is it statute of limitations?
No, I'm not gonna give all the dark out. I'm not, let's just.
So you do something that could have got you in trouble.
Me in trouble big time. And I remember being on the floor in my house praying that God would forgive me and just not let me get caught. I felt horrible. So
Did you answer
that happened? Well, yeah, I didn't get in trouble, but that guilt stayed with me for a long time. 2 years later at UCLA, now, and that's kind of where my faith journey began. My real faith journey began. Is when the guilt of what I did just was too overwhelming, and I called.
It was that incident that really made you feel guilty. That was like,
I couldn't. It was eating me up inside. When I became a Christian and really started growing in my faith, I started thinking about the stupid things I did, and so I called my school and I confessed to what I did, and I said, "Hey, I was doing what I can to pay you back. And I'm sorry." And the guy who I spoke to, he was like, well, Corwin, I appreciate you calling and let me know. I'll check on this, but I heard you're a Christian now, right, Forward? And I said, yeah, yes, sir. They said, well, you know God forgives you, right? And I said, yeah, thank you. And that was pretty much it. And that was the last I heard of. So it's not about 1986. Yeah, 1986. No, that was 1987 when I made that phone call. So
Wow. And you're already in college.
I was in college and I just surrendered my life to Christ. You know, the guy that I said I used to rep from our chaplain.
Yeah. Tell us about your first encounter with him.
Well, I didn't know he was our chaplain when I first met him. He was just some strange dude walking around campus to me. He was an older guy, so I knew he wasn't a student. And he accosted me on campus and had the nerve to ask me questions about my faith. All right. And I'm like, who are you, number one? And then I'm like, you have no idea.
Direct approach.
You had no idea who you're talking to, number two, because I was in the church. I'm thinking I'm about to really impress this brother. Bring it on. And he asked me, how sure are you, Cole, that when you die, you'll go to heaven? On a scale of 0 to 100%, what chances would you give yourself? He asked me. I wasn't ready for that question.
What was your answer?
Well, I said, I'm about 75% sure. That, with a smile on my face.
Yeah, I've got her at 75%.
I was like, hey, I said, C average in school, I'm passing. It's a passing grade. I'm not.
That's an incredible basketball average. You know, if you shoot 75%, you are a hot hand.
Of course. I'm not trying to live an A average, straight A student for Jesus. That's a boring life, which is what I felt like. I'd be miserable if I lived completely for Jesus, because I was afraid that if I got too close to God, all fun and life would end, or he might turn me into somebody I didn't want to be.
Like a chap.
Or make me go surfing in a place I didn't want to go. So all these thoughts. And I used to look at the old deacons in the front pew of my church. This is like back in the day, all the deacons sat in the front. And as a young boy, they just looked ancient to me. Okay, they were probably only in their 60s, but maybe some in their 70s. But all of them looked like they were barely hanging on. They would sing.
You don't want to be.
They would sing, "I'm on the lawn, you heard my cry." And I would walk by, and I'm like, that's what it means to be close to God. I'm not going out like that. Unfortunately, that was my immature attitude. Yeah. And so I stayed away from God because of those reasons. But when I gave that guy, the chaplain, my answer, he responded by saying, Corwin, if you think about it, your answer can only be 0 or 100. There is nowhere in between. And his answer, his response made me angry. First of all, I was shaken. I was afraid because I just felt this, like I'm caught. But then it made me angry when my ego kicked it. Because I started thinking, wait a minute, who are you to make me feel like something's wrong with my connection to God just because I'm not 100% sure about her? My parents were proud of me. My coaches, my teammates, my grandfather, the pastor, thought I was a great young man. Who are you? The question that I didn't realize that his response exposed the lack of understanding I had about the gospel. Anyway, so that's why when I saw this joker come into the football team locker room, I panicked at first. I didn't know who he was. So I thought he snuck in there and got past security. So I'm looking around, security, right? So I asked my teammate who he was, and he said, oh, that's our team chaplain. And that's when I got up and left. And that entire year, whenever he would come in, I did my little routine and leave and wait to read. Okay,
So when did it shift for you?
The next year, a teammate of mine, an older guy, just 2 years older, someone I really, really respected, had watched. I respected him because of how he carried himself, and also how he treated us in upperclassmen. I mean, we had upperclassmen they were rough on us, y'all. Ted, they were, hazing was in back then, and intimidation was in. I mean, Ken Norton Jr. was our linebacker. He's just intimidated. Looking at him is intimidating, and he used to hit me and make me fly across the field, on the practice lot. I'm like, he was older. James Washington was our safety. He's from South Central. He was something else. So all these older guys used to treat us a certain way. This guy's name is Alan. He really kind of encouraged us. So when he invited to lunch, those were the reasons I agreed to meet with him. Now, I knew he was going to the Bible studies and chapels and all that. And my thought was, I'll meet with you. Maybe you can help me out with my plan. Because my plan was, when I get too old in life to have any more fun, when I'm deacon age, then I'll go ahead and get serious about God. When all the fun is gone, then I'll get serious about God.
Yes, it's such a silly mindset. That's where we're at, really. Think we're smarter than God.
Yeah. Here's my plan, God. Right? And then this teammate showed me a scripture I had never seen before. I'm looking down at it, and it says, because you are neither hot nor cold, but lukewarm, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth.
Wow.
Okay. My first thought looking down at that Bible was, this is in red lettering. My first Galatians. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this is in red font. Jesus said these words. Jesus feels this way. And I knew that was mean, that middle, right down the middle. I knew that was me. I didn't want to be too close to God, but I didn't want to be too far away either.
Where were you at athletically at this time? Were you like dreaming of NFL now? Were you in? Are you just living in the moment, enjoying playing, going to college, getting an education, but not really realizing how monumental this is? I mean, man,
Is this player having fun? I wouldn't think about the NFL at all, not until
you're not even thinking about your future, really, other than when you're 60, want to have fun and
just trying to have fun at the moment. Wow, okay, I was there. I had some pretty good years. Troy Aikman came, was transferred. Sophomore, my redshirt sophomore year. So I had 2 years with him. And when he was our quarterback, those were the years that I had my best games. And I really believed that it would because the scouts were coming to look at him that I was also discovered. He was the only reason the NFL teams got in.
a great player makes other great.
Okay, when he left, I hardly played. We went to a wide plan. It was just wide receivers and birds view times tight ends were in the game. And so, anyway, but he had some great years.
But even though you didn't play after he left, they still seized you, and so they drafted you.
I didn't get drafted.
They didn't get drafted.
Went to the combine, went to the Senior Bowl, went to the Penn Bowl, and right after the draft ended, I think 3 or 4 teams called to sign me as a free agent, and I signed with the Rams.
Yeah, many people don't understand it, but I heard that like if you're on the edge and you're going to be drafted low round, it's actually better to not be drafted because now you have more options.
You have options. That felt me now. Don't get me wrong. I was told my agent was Lee Steinberg, and I was told that you're probably going to 4th round. Okay, based upon my stats and what he was hearing, I guess.
4th round.
And I'm like, okay, so we have the party at my house. Everybody's there.
Okay.
And we're watching the rounds go by. Here comes the 4th round. So I'm watching and waiting and nothing. And the 5th round comes and nothing. And they read those around very well.
12 rounds in football.
And it's like back to back. So as the rounds go by, all of my guests were going by. One by one, one by one. Finally, the last round where all they show was like the ticker tape names scoring across the bottom of the screen. It's just information. I'm looking to see if my name is getting called by anywhere, nothing. And then the draft ended, and I was the only one left.
Was all pretty devastated.
I went out on my a porch just like this in my front yard, overlooking the school. I lived right across the street from my high school. And I'm sitting on my porch by myself, feeling like I just blew it. I just failed. Felt like I let down all my classmates and my teammates at South High School, and just felt devastated. And I'll never forget, my mom came out, and she just kind of just rubbed my head, just said, "Son, it's gonna be okay. Son. It's gonna be okay." You know, and that was enough just to encourage me to the deep breath. And then right after that is when my agent called and said, "We have 4 teams who are interested in signing now."
Right? Yes. None of them wanted to draft you, or
You know what? I didn't have a very good combine. I think that really hurt me. I was nervous. I was a nervous wreck.
but your agent did his work. He went out there and got you in at 4 places.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's typical, right? When the draft is over, it's a free for all. Teams are calling everybody, trying to get bodies in because they got to fill up.
You meet so many players in football.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine about my height, a little bit shorter than mine. He was great at basketball and football in high school. And he decided to play football in college because he said it's much easier to play for the NFL than it is for the NBA. And again, I'm like you, I never thought that way. I just, played what I wanted to play, and I never thought of it as a career. I just wanted to play, ended up playing in Europe for a couple years, which was super amazing experience. But yeah, okay. So then you go and you get signed, and
I get signed with LA Rams, and I get made their practice squad.
Okay.
And after about a month, this team had a bunch of injuries. Back then, you could only have 5 people on your practice squads.
Okay.
Each team. And so when
5 people on your practice squad is
interesting in the NFL, yeah. So when players get injured during games, they look at the practice squad to replace them, or they bring in other players and put them on the practice squad to develop them, or to see if they can take the place of the injured guy. Yeah. So we had a bunch of injuries, and so they pulled me up the practice squad to bring other guys in, like O-linemen and BBs, whatever. And
they pulled you out to the big. They cut you off of the practice. Sure.
And cut me after a month into the season.
Okay.